Jeff, good morning. It was 10 years ago tonight that Kobe put up 81 against Toronto. What do you remember about that game?
I remember him outscoring the Raptors by himself in the second half. I think it was 55-41, which to me is incredible. 55 by itself, I think it's the second highest scoring half ever. But to outscore a team by yourself, phenomenal.
Give me the player who you think might be able to score 60 points next.
Well, I think Curry could do it. You know, if the game's close enough, you know, too often he gets to sit out a lot of these blowout games down the stretch. But I could see him getting on a run where he could get, 60 in a game. He could get going for a big half. You know, Klay Thompson proved last year with that one 37-point quarter that if a guy plays long enough, he certainly could have the opportunity to do it as well.
Yeah, I said Klay Thompson just because he could be in that position where Curry is feeding him, and, you know, that Curry would be able to create some shots for him. He gets on those rolls. He's a volume guy, and he could put up a couple of big quarters, and then they might all start to pitch in to see if that he could get a big number like that. So that's why I picked Klay Thompson instead of Steph.
Well, I think one of the things that's overlooked with the Warriors' success is just how well their bigs pass the ball. Draymond Green, Bogut, share the ball, have great decision-making capabilities. I think it's overlooked that Draymond Green actually leads the Warriors in assists.
Yeah.
And so, they have more than just Steph Curry to get a great shooter like Klay Thompson going. They've got great passing bigs as well.
How do you teach that? Or can you teach that, what Golden State does with – everybody gets caught up in their threes and their scoring, and I said, just watch them pass. That's what's the amazing part for me.
I think the second most amazing thing to me, besides their passing, and obviously you probably have to throw their, Curry shot making, particularly off the dribble in there. But I think the other thing is the willingness of Steph Curry and Klay Thompson to move without the ball that very few players are able to do or are willing to do now. You watch Curry and Thompson come off baseline screens, don't get it, the ball goes into the post, then they run split action, and they continually make it hard to guard them. They are not stationary players like so many of our players are today, where it's either isolation or pick and roll. This is constant movement that you have to defend, and when you make a mistake, their movement coupled with the passing ability of the bigs make them very, very difficult to guard.
Jeff Van Gundy joining us, Dan Patrick Show. They got the Bulls and the Cavs coming up tomorrow night on ABC. Speaking of the Cavs, maybe I overreacted, but when I watched them against Golden State, I realized they just don't match up well with them. They match up with San Antonio, and I still feel like Kevin Love is the odd man out. They're trying to find, I don't know, incorporate him in the offense. It just feels like they sometimes try too hard or they don't try hard enough. Can you see the Cavs making any kind of move here that will help them? Because it's win or, it's all or nothing for this team. They're all in on winning a championship here. So would they do something as drastic as that?
Well, I think obviously you've seen them. They have a willingness to upgrade the roster. They have a willingness to spend money. Dan Gilbert has proven time and again that he'll pay to help them not only get back to the finals, but to win a championship. And I think the Love issue is similar to what Bosh went through when he was the third wheel with James and Wade. It's how do you fit in? And I think the challenge for Love is to try to, how much do you play behind the three-point line where you give spacing to James and Irving, and how much do you play with your head under the rim, taking advantage of what one of your great strengths is, which is offensive rebounding. One thing I think they should do is I don't think teams can be consumed with involving their third option. They're asked time and time again, how do you get Love going? Mm-hmm. First of all, Love has to be a guy who plays off of the greatness of James and Irving, and he shouldn't be the one thinking, they got to bring the ball to me. Nor should James and Irving be worried about, hey, how can we get Kevin a shot? Kevin Love is good enough to average 15 to 17 points, shooting a high percentage without the ball ever being directed toward him. And I think then he's got to figure out, how can I play the pick and roll better? If they're going to come at me and try to attack me, I've got to answer the call. How can I do that a little bit better?
Do you realize the Spurs have more blowout wins than anybody else? And I'm talking about by 10 points, by 15, by 20, by 25 points. Does that surprise you?
No, I think people are talking about Golden State making this assault on, the Chicago Bulls 72-10 record. San Antonio's got the same opportunity to do it, but no one's talking about them. They're absolutely dominant. I mean, they go play, without, they played Ginobili 5 minutes last night. Parker doesn't play. Duncan sits out. And they outscore Phoenix on the road by 18 in the fourth quarter. They have 1 through 15, the deepest roster in the league. That has been, the ability to do that is because of David West taking a lot less money, Duncan taking a lot less money, Ginobili, Parker. They've all, in many ways, taken less money to have the ability to put more players around themselves. And so right now they're absolutely steamrolling the competition, and that's why Monday's game against Golden State will be so exciting.
If I made you commissioner for a day, what would you do with the intentional fouling that we saw, the latest with your brother's team with Andre Drummond?
Yeah, there are some free throw abolitionists, or absolutists like Mike Breen, who love the free throw, right? And so,
well, that's how he scored. He only scored.
He couldn't even get fouled. Listen, come on. All right, so here's the thing. We need more action in our game, not less. Between free throws and timeouts, I want to see them both reduced as much as possible. Second, if a rule that you can't foul off the ball in the last 2 minutes, if it's good for the last 2 minutes, it should be good for the first 46 minutes as well. I don't understand why we have this feeling that, hey, we should be able to foul off the ball. That's ridiculous. But I think the biggest thing is the game has always evolved and changed for a couple of players. You go back to the lane widening because of George Mikan and Wilt Chamberlain. Goaltending came in because of Mikan. No one wants to go back to, the prehistoric days, so you've got to evolve. More coaches are taking advantage of this absurd rule of fouling away from the ball, and to me, fouling should never be rewarded. Fouling is not a skill, and I don't think it should ever be a part of the game where you can benefit by fouling.
Well, how do you fix it, though?
Well, you already have a rule in place. Like I said, the last 2 minutes, you can't do what they're doing in the first 46 minutes. And so you can either overhaul it even more or just say, hey, listen, the rule we have in the last 2 minutes, that's good. We'll just have that play out for the full 48 minutes. And for these people who think, hey, free throw shooting is such a big part of the game, to me, it's the most boring part of the game. And this rule would not be changed for the benefit of those guys who can't shoot free throws. It would be for the benefit of the fan not having to go through it when they invest their time and their money into what that game in Houston was. It was unwatchable. It was just, to foul 5 times in 9 seconds to get into the penalty, it's not basketball. It's not what we're trying to portray our league is about. Our league should be about exciting, flow, rhythm. And so the more we can take away the free throw, the more we can take away timeouts, the better our game will be.
Have fun. Tell Mark and Brini that we said hello, and we'll keep the Brini free throw comments to ourselves here.
No one in the history of mankind loves the free throw more than Mike Breen. See you, Dan.
All right, buddy. Thank you. That's Jeff Van Gundy.